Welcome to Spiritation TV. So this whole saga started when Atiku accused President Bola Tinubu of not attending the Chicago State University, which he submitted a certificate to Inec, a body responsible for conducting election in Nigeria. Ever since Atiku Abubakar has lost in the 2023 presidential election and the court has declared Bola Tinubu as the winner, he has been hell-bent on proving that Bola Tinubu is not who we think he is and that he has been deceiving us. So this accusation led to him going to court accusing Tinubu of falsifying the CSU, that's Chicago State University Diploma of Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, awarded in 1979, that he submitted to the electoral body. In a move to strengthen his election petition appeal filed at the Apex Court, the PDP standard bearer asked an Illinois Chicago court to compel the CSU to release the president's academic records, including a copy of any diploma issued by CSU in 1979. A copy of the diploma the CSU gave to Tinubu in 1979. Copies of diplomas with the same font, seal, signatures, and wording awarded to other students that are similar to what CSU awarded to him in 1979 that he submitted to the electoral body. He also demanded documents from the CSU that were certified by Jama'o, who was then a staff member of the CSU. Atiku's application was opposed by Tinubu's lawyers, citing privacy concerns, but the U.S. court decided it should proceed, and the school subsequently released the academic records. In line with the court's ruling, Atiku's lawyer, Angela Liu, questioned the CSU registrar, Caleb Westberg, in a disposition. The reports read, some social media users in Nigeria alleged that the disposition and the diplomas released by CSU confirmed that the diploma submitted to the Inec by Mr. Tinubu was forged. This claim was also repeated by one of Mr. Abubakar's lawyers, Kalu, at a press conference last week. We found there was no evidence to support this claim. Many social media users in Nigeria have been sharing false or misleading posts about the disposition of Caleb Westberg, the current CSU registrar. During the disposition, some answers to the questions of Atiku lawyer was given by the Chicago State University registrar, which the BBC actually came to analyze. And this analytics has brought a lot of reaction on social media. Let's go straight into the analytics. I quote them. The CSU released several diplomas issued between 1979 and 2003. We analyzed all of them. There are 3 different diplomas for Mr. Tinubu that we refer to throughout our analysis. The original one from 1979, which he has said in the past was lost when he went into exile in the 1990s. The second one that he submitted to Inec, supposedly a replacement diploma from CSU, it is similar to diploma issued by CSU in the 1990s. Additionally, CSU holds another replacement diploma for Mr. Tinubu that they say is probably from the early 2000s that he never collected. The allegations on social media are based on a comparison between the documents Mr. Tinubu submitted to Inec and the 1979 diploma released by CSU. During Westberg's disposition, the BBC noted that Atiku's lawyer focused on the copy of the diploma Tinubu handed to the Electoral Commission and suggested that it was unlike any of the diplomas released by the CSU. However, while Mr. Wurzburg agreed with Ms. Liu that the diploma in question does not look like the samples from 1979, he stated that the certificate actually looks like 3 of the diplomas CSU released to Mr. Abubakar. Our analysis confirms this. It turns out that the discrepancy in the appearance of the diploma is down to it having been reissued in the 1990s. Mr. Wurzburg said the template of CSU's diploma has changed several times over the years. He said any request for a new diploma would resemble the current template at that time, no matter when the student graduated. As such, if Mr. Tinubu had reordered his diploma in the late 1990s, what he would have been given would look like what was obtainable then. Referring to a claim made by fact-checking organization in Nigeria that the diploma Tinubu submitted was not from CSU, as its diplomas do not include the phase with honors under the degree name, the BBC said it found that while this was not reflected in the other diplomas released by CSU, it does appear in Mr. Tinubu's diploma issued in the early 2000s, which was authenticated by Mr. Wurzburg during his disposition. It has the words "with honors," a match with a diploma with the same details submitted by the president to Inec. Now, this is BBC's analysis that made them come to the conclusion that President Bola Tinubu did not forge his Chicago State University certificate. In response to the new light shed on the controversy by the British broadcaster, Atiku's Special Assistant on Public Communications, Frank Shaibu, in a statement, described the report as a hatch-egg job. He claimed that the report is part of President Tinubu's administration's propaganda program. Shaibu said, sometime last week when the National Broadcasting Commission issued a final warning to Arise News TV, we pointed out that the Tinubu administration was on the verge of launching a full-blown propaganda and also intimidating uncooperative media houses into discrediting and downplaying the CSU scandal. Sadly, we never imagined that it would be the BBC that will become the willing tool. Shabiu lampooned the BBC for allegedly attempting to bamboozle Nigerians with a Judiced report when details are clear to everyone, for everyone to see. Atiku's aide alleged that the BBC investigation was carried out with a predetermined goal to clear Tinubu. Shabiu called on the BBC and other fact-checkers to be more circumspect, adding that their job was too sensitive to entertain errors. The media aide, who advised media organizations to invest more in investigative journalism, noted that if the BBC had invested in proper investigative journalism, it would have been the one uncovering some of the Tinubu scandals instead of relying on Atiku for information on Tinubu's certificate. Shabiu, in another statement, lambasted the president for holding just one cabinet meeting since taking office 135 days ago. He described it as ironic that Tinubu, who has the largest cabinet in Nigeria's history, had decided not to meet with them. The PDP National Publicity Secretary, Debo Ologunagba, could not be reached for comment on Wednesday, but the party's Deputy National Youth Leader, Timothy Osadolo, insisted that Tinubu's CSU certificate presented to the Inec was not genuine. He challenged the president to put the information in the public in the right perspective. Reacting to the BBC report, Osadolo said, "I would urge them to toe the path of honor like the BBC of old and not get their reputation tainted by this saga that has stained so many characters, individuals and institutions." The leadership of the Labour Party said they were not moved by the report of the British media outfit, which it hinted was damage control to change the certificate saga narrative. The national legal advisor of the party, Kehinde Edun, told one of our correspondents that regardless of what anyone may say, the president must take responsibility for the mess he is putting the country through. He noted, they, BBC, are entitled to their opinion. As far as we are concerned, this issue has become so messy and too dirty. In fact, in this circumstance, we even sympathize with Tinubu because he put himself in too many problems by not coming out clean about so many things. If you look at what Peter Obi said today, he was actually showing some form of empathy by saying that this man, Tinubu, should just clean up his mess for the sake of the country. Now let's go into the APC's reaction to the BBC's analysis. APC berates Atiku. The director of publicity, All Progressive Congress, Bola Ibrahim, slammed the PDP standard bearer, Atiku, over the certificate controversy. He uploaded the BBC describing its investigation as factual and a reflection of reality. He told The Punch that it was a vindication of what they earlier knew. He said, what the BBC has done now is to lend credence to the submission of the president that he did not forge any document. If anyone is in doubt, he can come up with a contrary investigation. For the BBC disinformation team to come with this report, it means the information is sacrosanct. Ibrahim also dismissed insinuations that the foreign media might have been compromised to give the president a claim bill. He said his experience working for the foreign broadcasting station for almost 3 decades convinced him that British media outfits could not be intimidated or inducted. I am saying this to dismiss the insinuation by critics of this administration that the BBC is compromised. I served with the BBC for upwards of 27 years and retired as a regional coordinator in charge of Nigeria, Niger, Cameroon and Burkina Faso. In all these years of service, one thing is central in the training of the BBC, which is credibility and fact-finding. The BBC lays emphasis on retraining people on fact-finding and importance of credibility. That is why the BBC is the only media in the world that doesn't run adverts. It doesn't collect money from anybody because it is being funded by the Foreign Office. No BBC staffer is in touch with money or allowed to collect money from anywhere. The question of being compromised or influenced to do something is laughable. This controversy is very tough. Okay, so now there's been an allegation against Atiku saying that he too might have some, skeletons in his cupboard, where his name was changed from Sadiq to Atiku. Let's go into it. Atiku, in a statement by his media advisor Paul Ibe on Wednesday, clarified that Sadiq Abubakar on his West African Examination Council certificate was his former name. A member of the APC, Ayekoto Akindele, had in a Facebook post queried at what point did the new name Atiku Abubakar changed to Sadiq Abubakar, which is the name written on the WAEC certificate presented to Inec, and when did Sadiq Abubakar change back to Atiku Abubakar, which is now his current name. Atiku, while describing the inquiries as healthy because they seek to probe the truth, adding that we also noticed that a lot of those who engaged on the issues are supporters and aides of President Bola Tinubu. He explained, to start with, Atiku Abubakar wrote his WAEC examination in 1968 with the name Sadiq Abubakar. Every elementary student of Islamic civilization will not find it hard to decipher that both Sadiq and Atiku are names that Prophet Muhammad gave to his bosom friend, Caliph Abubakar. Therefore, Sadiq and Atiku are names that have a historical link to one person in Islamic theology, Ibe added. According to him, Atiku in 1973, more than 50 years ago, disposed to an affidavit that he would wish to be known officially as Atiku Abubakar. Now, I'll be sharing 2 other reactions on Twitter about the BBC analysis on the Chicago State University certificate of Bola Tinubu. The first person on is Reno Omokri. Reno Omokri, former aide to President Goodluck Jonathan and staunch supporter of the PDP and Atiku, said some Nigerians were harassing the BBC on social media for stating the obvious truth. Some Nigerians are now flooding the BBC with calls and harassing them. They are also doing the same on all other social media handles simply for stating the obvious truth, that there is no evidence Bola Tinubu forged his certificate. This is the same thing they did to the governor of Illinois and Chicago State University, which made the university lock their ex-profile. It is the same thing they did to George Maldonado's court, he wrote via Reno Omokri. Peter Obi already knows he will lose at the Supreme Court. That is why he gave his bumbling press conference today. If you know you have a case, you wait for the court. Preempting the court, especially a day the BBC busted his bubbles by saying there is no evidence Tinubu forged his certificate, shows that Obi has seen the handwriting on the wall. By the time the Supreme Court also rules that there is no evidence that Bola Tinubu forged his certificate, they will also say that the Honorable Justice have been bribed. They are incapable of accepting the truth that does not favor them, Omokri added in another tweet. Alright, so far this has been what has been going on concerning the Tinubu saga. Please go to the comment section and tell me what you think. All this thing that is going on, what's your opinion? What do you think about it? Tell me in the comment section. Do not forget to like, share and subscribe so that you can be the first to get the latest and the newest update on the Chicago saga. Stay tuned.